Hello, today I want to talk about the housing crisis going on right now in North America and how it is affecting me personally. So the building where I have been living for the past 13 years, I pay rent because I have chosen in the past to be a renter rather than an owner. But the building where I have been living, it was sold. And the new owner, of course, he would like to make a profit or increase his profit. So he is putting into practice all kind of legal maneuvers in order to kick me out. And this is happening all over Montreal, but not only all over Montreal, but also all over Canada. And not only all over Canada, but also in the United States. As far as I know, rental prices in Canada, they have gone up for 18%, and rental prices in Canada in general, they have gone up 9% during the past 12 months, and rental prices in the United States in general, they have gone up 9% over the past 12 months. So this is a little bit faster than inflation, and of course I don't want to blame inflation for this. The real reason is housing scarcity. So if there's one thing that we should know about economics is that when there is a huge demand for a particular product or service, then prices and the supply is not met, then prices tend to go up, and this is what's happening. So governments are aware of this, and all over the United States and all over Canada, governments are trying to come up with solutions, but solutions that I think they are inadequate. For example, one of the so-called great solutions is rent control. Could you imagine? Let's say I buy a building and the government tells me, oh, you can only charge X amount of rent because that's the law, okay? So as an investor, I wouldn't feel so enticed by that opportunity. So what happens when there are rent controls? Well, less people invest in real estate. And if less people invest in real estate, then there is less housing available. And if there is less housing available, then more people are stuck without housing. Yes, those who have a house already, they are happy because their rent can only go up so much, so on and so forth. But imagine there are 100 houses, right? And there are 120 people asking for housing. Okay, what happens is that there are going to be 20 people left without housing, and rent control is not going to fix that. Okay, in fact, in the future, it may worsen the whole situation. Another thing, another proposed solution by the government is housing vouchers or affordable housing. That means that the government helps financially people of lower income to pay for the housing. But still, the problem is not solved. If there are 100 houses and there are 120 people asking for housing, then 20 people are going to be left out without housing. And the people who are being subsidized with the government, yes, they are going to be able to bring the price up a little bit, but that's the thing that happens. It benefits renters because now more people have more money to pay more rent, but it doesn't alleviate the housing crisis. And the problem is not that there is not enough housing. The problem is that there is not enough housing in the places where people would like to live. People like to live in big cosmopolitan cities. Here in Canada, that would be Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver. In the United States, you name it, San Francisco, New York, Miami. But that's the bottom line. People would like to live in big metropolis, and if there are not enough housing there, then that's a problem. Yes, it doesn't help that, for example, here in Canada, there's enough housing in northern Quebec, in northern Ontario. I mean, Canada is bigger than the United States, and it has only a fraction of its population, so there is plenty of room to build houses, but people want to live in the big cities, and that's it. That's where the problem has to be fixed, not everywhere else. So the way that I see it is that we have to put pressures with the citizens of any municipality. We have to put a lot of pressure on local governments for them to change zoning laws. Okay, so there are a lot of areas that you can only build single houses. Okay, so yes, a single house can have this lot of land and it can only house one family. But how about if you change the zoning laws so that this housing could be townhouses, one house next to each other, or duplex or triplex? That would alleviate the problem immensely. I have a friend, he has a house that is a little bit away from Montreal, and by law he is not allowed to rent his basement. Okay, so he has the extra room, he has a basement that he will be more than happy to rent. There are people who are more than happy to rent that basement, but because of the law, then that is not allowed. We have also mandatory spaces for parking. I mean, people are driving less and less. We have Uber, we have now robotaxis are coming into the future. We have a fantastic metro system here in the city. So people are becoming less and less dependent on automobiles and so on parking. So it's a crime not to allow another building or another house to be built because you need that space for parking. So there are all kind of laws that are preventing the building of new houses, and this is where we have to put the emphasis on. And this is a place where the local citizens have the power to change the law. I mean, one of the things that drives me crazy is when we see all kind of protests going on for one cause or another. I have participated in many protests. I have protested against racism. I have protested in favor of changing laws to pollute less the environment, and so on and so forth. And some of these protests, they have thousands and thousands of people where I have been involved. But I haven't seen one protest yet to alleviate the problem of housing. And this is a place where we do have a voice, where local politicians can listen to us and we can put pressures on them. For example, Greta, I forgot her name, so Greta, the climate change activist, she came into Montreal. There were so many thousands of people who came to that protest, and it's just so heartwarming. But our thousands and thousands of people here in Montreal, they are not going to change the policies in China or in Nairobi or in Nigeria or in all these countries they are just getting out of poverty and they are getting into the modern world. So yes, I find this almost like insignificant. While if we protest here in the city and every city in the world, and we make our voice heard that we want the zoning laws to be changed, I think that could create some change. But we have to get together and we have to say we are sick and tired of paying so much rent, and we would like not your vouchers, not your rent controls, but we would like the abilities for builders to build more housing, higher buildings, whatever it takes, so that the supply can meet the demand. So that's all for me for today. Thank you so much for listening, and if I could ask you just that one small favor, to go to my website alenguillot.com and sign up for the newsletter, I will be so grateful. And once again, thank you, and until soon. Peace.